I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry, more on the same type of question. What kind of like tests did you go through when you're, which one did you fail on? Like what kind of physical tests did you do?
Well, it was over 3 days. The physical tests were on the second day, and that was done at Canadian Forces Base. The first part of the day was straightforward, just whatever you could imagine, just like sit-ups, push-ups, running the track, shuttle run, that sort of thing. That was fine. The second day was the swimming tests, and that's where I failed out because I'm not such a good swimmer. The first day was kind of interesting. It was sort of general aptitude type tests. A lot of it was based on Canadian Forces type stuff for their pilots. One of them I remembered was a computer exercise, a computer-based exercise. So they had it was a black screen that had like 3 color bands in it. It was like red, green, and blue. And there were these shapes coming across the screen, and when the same color shape touched the color, it's the same color band, you have to press a certain button. But then at the same time, these stupid little math, simple little multiplication, division, addition questions would pop up randomly on the screen, so you'd have to answer them. I'm not quite sure what that was testing, but that was actually kind of fun. And the third day was psychological testing, and that was, yeah, maybe the less said about that, the better. But they gave us all these weird questionnaires. There were 500 questions. A lot of them repeated themselves. I guess they were trying to trip you up. So you'd get a question like, I really love my mother, true or false. There'd be 2 things. So you'd say something, and then 30 questions down it says, your mother is the most remarkable woman in your life, true or false. Like weird stuff like that. One was, do you like doorknobs? So I'm looking at this, do they mean people? Or, I didn't get that one. And the other thing was that one of the tests was from the States, and they just taken the questions verbatim. So I distinctly remember one of the questions was, people who do not swear the Pledge of Allegiance are unpatriotic Americans. And I'm looking at this. Anyway, it was a fun experience. It really was, and it was for me. It was a bit of a lark because I had no expectations of anything. But it was just fun, and it was, as I said earlier, the coolest part of any of this is the people you meet. It's just the best thing.
All right, so I'm kind of ready to discuss the elephant in the room, which is you have a habit of writing science fiction. So what are your stories about? What are the central themes?
For the most part, okay, yes, I do write science fiction. I've got about 9 stories published. And most recently, I co-edited a book called The Dragon and the Stars with a friend of mine named Erwin Mack. I don't have it here. I wasn't going to do the propaganda promotion thing, but this is a collection of science fiction and fantasy stories written by authors of Chinese background with Chinese themes in them. A lot of my stories, just write what you know. A lot of it is about space and why space is cool and why we ought to be doing more of it. Alternate history is a genre that I like. So what if something else had happened in the Quebec referendum or something like that is something that's of interest to me as well. I should emphasize that I don't do a lot of writing. Just very slow and lazy in that regard, but it's fun for sure, and it's a cheap hobby. So. Keeps you out of trouble.